So guys, let's then begin with this part. Compound noun. So for everyone, a compound noun is just a noun that is made up of two or three components, right? Normally two components. Like for example here, can you see this word? Book store. Now we have here two different words. The first word is book, and the meaning of the word is libro in Spanish, right? And the second word is store. And what is the meaning of a store? Tienda, right, in Spanish. So we have two different nouns. One is book, the other one is store, right? And then what do? We put them together. We unite them and we form one different noun. And now this one, bookstore, means librería, right? I would have forgotten about the meaning. Librería. So in other words, and to explain to you, let me explain to you a little bit in Spanish what compounds are. Is su nombre es sustantivos compuestos. Y como lo acabo de explicar, simplemente es la unión de dos sustantivos para crear un sustantivo nuevo. Right? So en el caso de este ejemplo tenemos book, store. Book significa libro y store que significa tienda. Right? Y estos dos sustantivos se unen y crean uno diferente, que se refiere a algo diferente también. No exactamente a ellos por separado. So, bookstore significa librería, lugar donde tú compras tus libros, right? So those are compound nouns. Esos son los compound nouns, los sustantivos compuestos, right? Es decir, compuestos por dos palabras. Normalmente, they can be compound like this by a noun, take a look, by noun plus noun, like in the case of a bookstore, we have two nouns. They can be compound by adjective plus noun, right? They can be compound like adjective plus noun. We may have another example up here. Verb plus noun, we can have also another example right up here. And noun plus verb, we can also have different examples. So those are compound nouns. Do you have any questions about them? Ooh. Guys, do you have any questions about compound nouns? This is always it's just like the combination of two words to form a new word, a new noun, right? That's a compound noun. But I still want to know whether you have questions or not. Do you have any questions on compound nouns? Or everything is clear so far?
Profe, una pregunta.
Yes, sir.
Los verbos necesariamente tienen que estar en infinitivo.
Not that might depend, right? So so that we can see the example of a verb, let's go first to the examples right here, right? So take a look. We say, let's do this, and then I will try to answer your question with the examples that we find here. So take a look. Read the sentences from 1 to 4 about local features. Find and underline a compound noun in each sentence. So we have the first one. It says, I live next to the main road. So it's a bit noisy. So this is the compound noun, right? Main road. Now, what kind of compound noun is? Is it type A, type B, type C, or type D? What do you think, guys? This one, the first one, what type is it?
Type B.
Yeah,
B.
we have
Noun.
good. Plus noun, right? So yes, this is an adjective plus a noun, right? Main is an adjective and road is a noun. So we have a combination of two things here. Yes, it means road, but you're speaking about a very specific road. Now here, there's a wonderful bookstore. Now we already spoke about bookstore, right? This is the compound noun. And which one is type?
Noun plus noun.
All right, great. Here, number 3, there's a public swimming pool by my house, and it's free for children. Which is the compound noun?
Swimming pool.
Swimming pool. All right, swimming pool. Good. And what type is this one?
Verb plus noun.
Verb plus noun. I would say yes. Why not? No, actually, this is the one, right? Verb plus noun. Now, Mr. Anthony, when we have the combination verb plus noun, normally the verb goes in the ing form. So I would say that this becomes more the ing form, or the verb in the ing form becomes more an adjective, right? So swimming, even though swim means nadar, that is el verbo, right? That is the verb swim. But when you add the ing version, it becomes more like an adjective. I mean, it's more like para nadar, right? It's like the explanation or the characteristic of this place right here. In this case, a pool. A pool is this place, but then we speak about and we say swimming is what we use it for, right? So I could say that it can be swimming, can also be why not? But you are right, because you're saying that swim, like it's visibly a verb, so that's good. So normally when we have this combination, the verb will go in the ing form. Don't forget that. And then we go to number 4. Where I live is good for window shopping, but too expensive to buy anything. Which is
Window
the
shopping.
all right, great, window shopping. And then we have and which is the combination?
Noun
Which
plus
type?
verb.
All right, then we have first the noun and first the verb, right? And what is window shopping? Window shopping is just not exactly take a look. Window shopping right here is not exactly a noun, because window shopping is more an action, so that's a verb. But again, I am using the ing form, most likely the ing version, like the present participle, can be considered a noun, right? So that's why they're using here like noun verb. But anyways, guys, these are compound nouns, and what do they have in common here? What they have in common is that they are always united by, they are not alone. They are accompanied by another word that can be a noun, a verb, or an adjective. So those are compound nouns, right? So take a look here. Hang on, I'm trying to this. Here you can see we got like an explanation itself. It says compound nouns combine two related words. So this is like the normal explanation, like how to use it. The first word gives us more information about the second. For example, shoe store. Shoe, right? Take a look. The first word gives us more information about the second. La primera dice zapato y la segunda dice tienda. La segunda ya sabemos qué es, pero cuando decimos tienda puede ser de cualquier tipo, right? Pero si queremos una información, exacta acerca de qué tipo de tienda, entonces debo escuchar o tener en cuenta la primera palabra, right? So, shoe store es una tienda de zapatos, right? Then we have a history teacher here. Teacher, it can be any kind of teacher, but here, a history one is the one I'm talking about. Now, paperback. I'm talking about it with any kind of bag here, but since I'm saying paper, a paperback, I'm referring to only one, to a paperback itself, right? Now, compound nouns can be written as one word sometimes and two words sometimes. So when we have a two-word, like in this example, let me see here. Let me see whether we have an example or not. Like for example here, a compound noun can be written as one word, like in the case of let me see here, like a bookstore, right? That's like an example, one word noun. Then we got here like they can also be used in two words, or they can be used like as a two-word noun. But this can be normally hyphen. I mean, you need to use it with the hyphen. You know what a hyphen is? That is like this example right here. Duty free, right? Duty free. Here, we're using a hyphen to unite it. Now, it is pretty much difficult to know when to use a hyphen and when not to use a hyphen. But this is something that you will learn from the dictionary, right? If you have, if you look up, I mean, if you look for a word that is a compound noun and it has a hyphen, then you have to learn it like that, right? You have to use it with a hyphen. So it's pretty much difficult to know when they have hyphens and when they have hyphens and when they don't take hyphens, right? So let's continue on this second exercise right here. Let's continue this second exercise right here. Un momento, chicos. Lina. All right, let's continue on this second exercise, guys. So this is it. Which words complete this compound noun? So you're going to tell me like a compound noun with each of these words that we have right here. So take a look. We have it here. Let's begin with number one. So what do you think number one is?
Traffic.
Jam. Traffic. So we can have a traffic jam and also traffic lights, right? Good. Very good. Number two, accident and rental.
Car.
Car.
All right. Yes. A car accident and a car rental. Great. Very good. How about center and mall?
Shopping center, shopping mall.
All right. Great. Shopping center and shopping mall. Great. Four, super and outdoor.
I don't know. Yo escogí activities. Outdoor
But
activities.
All right, that might work, but super
Pero no sé.
activities, no, no. Supermarket and supermarket and outdoor market. All right, that one is possible, right? Supermarket and outdoor market. That one is possible. I'll show you the answers at the end, right? But here we can have so many possibilities. Now, elementary and language.
School.
School, great. School. Now, how about the next one? Sport and city.
Central.
Which one?
Central.
What's that?
CNNTRE.
Oh, center. Sports center and city center. All right, maybe city center. Not exactly, but sports center might work. All right, but let's continue. I'm going to show you the answers that we have in the book later. Now, 7, main and one-way.
Road.
Road or street, so
Road.
Why not road? Good. Now, dream and brick.
Work.
Dream work, possible, but brick work?
House.
That's weird. You know brick, like ladrillo. All right. Let's go over number 9. Business. Business what? An industrial.
Company.
Business company and industrial company. All right, that one possible, right? Let's see. Very good. And 10, duty free and gift.
Esa sí no sé.
All right, another person, different person. We had a lot of people in here. Duty free, yeah. Shop. All right, duty free shop and gift shop. That that one might work.
¿Qué es duty free?
All right, this is when you pay no tax, right? When you pay no taxes, like it would be like sin IVA, sin impuestos.
Ajá, quedar libre de impuestos.
Exacto. That's a duty free thing. Now let's see the answers. Let's see the answers, guys. Let me show them to you. Where we have the answers here. Hang on. So we have traffic, car, shopping, market, very good, school, center, you said it, mister. Street, house, dream house, and brick house. Business park and industrial park. Duty-free shop, you said, but store can also be possible, right? So these are some of the ones that we had in the book. All right, guys, so let's continue on the compound nouns, and let's go to page 150, right? Page 155. And we continue with, checking the rest. That was unit 8, so it's this way. All right, let's continue with the compound noun. So this is it here, the second part. Now here we have more exercises. It says, put the words in the box, these words that are right here, next to the correct word to make a compound noun. Which compound noun are written as one word? Use the dictionary to check. All right. So let's begin with the first one. Then we got here already, one already is done, racket. So a tennis racket. But what else can you put, can you like unite with tennis?
Tennis
Ball.
ball.
Tennis shop.
Tennis ball y tenis.
Ball.
Cold. Cold.
Gold.
Court.
Court. Court. Yes, a tennis ball in a tennis court. Yeah, good. You know, the court, we're talking about the field, right? The field, like la cancha. Great. How about coffee? Coffee?
Coffee cup. Cup.
Cup.
Mhm.
Machine.
Machine and shop.
Shop.
And shop. Coffee shop. A coffee shop. All right. Now, how about a post?
Office.
Office.
All right.
Card.
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 Mark. Postmark.
All right. That was good. How about number 4?
Learner.
Language. Learning. Barrier. No sé cómo es.
Barrier.
Barrier.
And lab. Language
Barrier.
lab.
Language lab, language barrier, and language. What was the other?
Learning.
Learner. It says here learner. And 5. Sun.
Glasses.
Glasses.
All right.
Suntan.
Good.
Tan.
Good. In the suntan. Good. Now let's see whether you were right or not. Actually, I think you were all right. That was great. It was good. Now we got it here. Tennis player, court and racket. A coffee shop, machine and cup. Good. A post office marking card. A language barrier, lab and learner. And some screen tan and glasses. Good. Good. Now
¿Dónde está
let's.
ball?
Which one?
Ball.
Lo
Lo cambiaron como con player.
Oh yes, I'm so I didn't see this, but ball can go here, right? Because you're talking about the tennis ball, right? The book has a mistake. I didn't realize it was like, yeah, you were right. Right here, similar to the exercise we did previously, right?
Running shop.
So number 1, running, shorts, and high-heeled shoes, right? Good. Running shoes, sports shoes, and high-heeled shoes. Good. Number 2, check, picture, and text.
Book.
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 Great. Bed, dining, and changing.
Room.
Viewing, washing, and vending.
Machine.
Right.
Machine.
And head, pay, and sell.
Phone.
You're so great, you see? So are compound nouns difficult, guys? Here you are. You got some other examples right here. Just like the way they should be together, right? Cell phone, pay phone. So guys, are they difficult for you?
No.
All
Después
right.
cuando hice esto lo entendí un poquito más.
Yeah, this is easy, to be honest, right? It's an easy topic.
Es como
Again, this is, yeah.
las palabras que se unen comúnmente.
Commonly, well, let's say commonly, but compound nouns are just another type of words, right? Another type of words that you will find as a combination of two words to make one different word. I mean that's it, right? That's a compound noun. There's nothing else to say about them. You normally need to learn them by heart, like by memorizing. That's the only way to know, to learn compound nouns, like the way they are, right? Just like that all the time. Because you know that if you change them, then they might mean another thing. So that's like the way you should learn how they are. So guys, now having done this, let's get down to business to today's class. As I said before, today we're going to work on lesson number 8, part 2. We have already spoken about and covered lesson number 8, part 1, where we spoke about, let me show you what we spoke about, where we spoke about this, right? Let me show you here. We spoke about the articles, right? That they were definite articles and indefinite articles, and we also learned like when to use them and when not to use them, right? When to use no article and when to use a definite and a definite and an indefinite article, right? So those were the things that we did last time. Also, we spoke about the quantifiers and that they were words that describe quantity, right? Like, and they were words like a lot of, right? A lot of, lots of, plenty of, a few of, a little of, right? All, no, many, much, some, any, right? So we spoke about all of those things last time. But today, we're going to work on one topic that I would say is like, we're going to speak about this topic that is like kind of, I would say, I am not going to say complicated because it's not a difficult topic, but I'm going to say that this is a complex topic, right? I would say it's easy, but we need to learn many things so we can like control that normally. And the topic is relative clauses, right? I am pretty sure that you have already seen and maybe learned this topic before, but this is what we're going to do today, right? So relative clauses. Now, before we start, let me ask you guys, do you know what a relative clause is? Oh, some it out. Guys, do you know what a relative clause is? Who can tell me what is, what a relative clause is? Who could tell me that? Don't worry if you make mistakes. If you don't know, it's okay. I understand, right? So guys, what is a relative clause? So do you know what a relative clause is, guys? Or you don't have idea of what a relative clause could be?
Relative clause is to sentence. Que, o sea, la segunda describe la primera.
The first one describe the second one.
Donde usamos who, where, that, when, en medio de las dos para separarlas.
To unite them. Yes, you're right. So that is a relative clause, right? So before speaking about relative clause, we need to review relative pronouns, right? So this is today's class, guys, and um, let me go ahead and show you something. Hang on, let me look for today's PowerPoint presentations. This is the one, I think. Now, can you see the PowerPoint presentation, guys, or you cannot see it?
No.
No, right?
No.
Okay.
No.
How about now?
Yes.
Ahora sí.
Okay. So this is how we're going to start with today's class, then, guys. So let's get back to this. All right. So, guys, relative pronouns, right? I'm sorry, relative clauses. That's what we're going to work on today. Relative clauses. But before going to relative clauses, we need to review relative pronouns, right? But we are going to still work on relative clauses. But first, let's go to the relative pronouns. So guys, take a look at this picture right here. In this picture, we have like two little boys, right? As you can see, they are hugging each other. And we have this question right here. What qualities make good friends? I would like you to answer this question, guys. What qualities make good friends? What do you think are the qualities that a good friend could have, or might have, or may have, or have to have? What do you think? What qualities make good friends?
Be honest.
Right? Yeah, being honest is a quality that,
Honest.
yeah, that's good. What else?
The respect.
Be respectful. All right, respectful. Great. Another one.
Loyal.
Be loyal.
Friendly, happy, funny.
All right. Yes, those are all good qualities, right? Yes. So take a look. I have decided for 4, right? So there you got. Here you have them. Let me just try to move this a little bit. Hang on. All right. So this is it. We have here. They have to be fun. You said that, right? I can depend on them. You know that you need friends who you can trust, who you can depend on, right? Here again, you can trust your friends, all right? They have to be very honest, sincere, loyal, as you were saying before, right? So here I have chosen four of them. Now, let's get going here. A relative pronoun itself. So what are relative pronouns? As Ms. Miranda said at the beginning, relative pronouns are those words that we use to connect two different sentences and make one sentence. This is a question that I'm going to ask you later on, so don't forget. A relative pronoun are those words that works as connector of two different sentences to make one sentence, right? One compound sentence. 1 minute ago or some time ago, we were speaking about compound nouns. And here, relative clauses and relative pronouns, we use them to make compound sentences, right? So take a look at here. It says relative pronouns. So what are the relative pronouns? We can say that relative pronouns are, can be who, that, on which. Now, if I speak about people, which relative pronoun am I supposed to use, guys?
Who.
Yeah, who. And what about that and which? What do we use that and which for? People? Objects? Things?
Objects.
Good,
Things.
right? Things are objects, right? But there is something else that you gotta take into account, and this is that we use who for people, but remember that that can also be used to talk about people, right? So that can be used to talk about people and things at the same time, but which is only for things, right? Not for people, only for things or objects, right? Good. So these are the relative pronouns. Now remember that, like Miss Miranda, she said something like that the relative pronouns were like who, that, which, and she also mentioned some other, right? Like what, where, why, when. Can you tell me more? All right, let's write down here who.
Whose.
Whom.
All right, let's write great. But I'm going to do this like here. All right, good. What else? How? This is another one.
Which.
Which one? Take a look.
Where.
Where? Take a look. We have what, where, why, when, who, whom, how, and well.
Whose.
Whose? Well, why not? Yes, we use whose too. Yeah. Well, so on and so forth. Let's say etc. Right? All WH question words. I'm going to write down here PS. Right? A PS. All WH question words. Right? All WH question words can be relative pronouns. All right, don't forget this. This is a PS. I mean, this is a a PS that you should never forget. All right, that you always need to take into account. That all WH question can be relative pronouns. Now, here we are only speaking about who, that, and which. Of course, they are like used in different situations. Like we use, like we use what for general tense, and in Spanish it means like loque, right? Where we use it to speak about what? Place, right? Like I like where you live. I like where you live. I like what you are wearing. Me gusta lo que estás usando. I like what you are wearing. I like where you live. Me gusta donde vives, right? Again, why? What do we use why for? Who can tell me?
Application.
Por lo que.
All right, kind of. I would say here, let's call it reason, right? To talk about reason. So, por qué o por lo que, as Miss Cynthia was saying. Quiero saber por qué hiciste eso. I want to know why you did that. I want to know why you did that. Now, again, why, we use it for reason. When? What do we use when for? What do we use when for, guys?
Para como tiempos.
Para los tiempos.
Great, great. We use it to talk about time, right? So, we can meet when you like, right? Nos podemos ver cuando ustedes quieran. We can meet, guys, when you like. We can meet when you like. Time. Now, whom, already we say here who and whom, that we use it to talk about people, right? People. How? What do you use how for? We talk about states, el estado de algo, right? So, for example, I want to know how you are. I want to know how you are, right? Quiero saber cómo estás. I want to know how you are, or I wanted to know how you were, right? Un estado. And whose? Who can tell me what we use whose for?
Es como cuyo.
All
Algo
right.
que pertenece. Algo así.
Very good. So we use it to talk about possession, right? To talk about possession. Very good. So I want the father whose kid is a genius. All right. El padre cuyo hijo es un genio. The father whose kid is a genius, right? And in this list, then we can add that. Now that is not a WH question word, right? It's not it. Now let me try like put a pound here. Yes, it's not a WH question word, but we can also use it as a relative pronoun, right? And remember that we can use it for two things: for people and for things or objects, right? Or animals in general. So this is it. And let's continue then with what we have right here. So we use the relative pronouns, as I said before, to combine two sentences and to make one compound sentence. Like combine two clauses. And what is a clause? A clause is a sentence with a subject and a verb. In other words, a clause is a normal sentence, like I love you. I love you is a normal sentence, right? I love you. That's a normal sentence. So as it is a normal sentence, this sentence, let me write it down for you guys here. Take a look. I love you. This sentence has a subject, right? And this sentence has a verb here, and it also has a complement. So this is a clause, right? This is a clause. Now, who, that, and which, that are relative pronouns, we use them to unite two different sentences. Like, for example, here we got, let me clear my drawing. Oh, I'm sorry, I deleted them all. Hey, did you copy what I wrote here on the corner?
Yes.
All right, great. So we got this part here. Take a look at the example. How many sentences do we have here? In this part right here, how many sentences do we have? Is it one? Is it two? Is it three? Is it four? How many sentences can you see here, guys?
Two.
All right, we have I like friends, period, right? One sentence, sentence number one, and they are honest, period, sentence number two. So these two sentences are separated. Now, if I want to make one sentence out of these two sentences, or in other words, if I want to connect these two sentences to make one sentence, what do I have to do? Can you tell me how to put them together? How can you put them together?
If you put that,
All right, you could put, are we speaking about people here, like friends? Are friends people?
Yes, I like
Yeah,
friends
right.
who are honest.
All right,
Yes.
very good, Miss Cynthia. So what are we doing? This is what we are doing. I like friends who are honest. Now, in this second version of these two separated sentences, we are making one sentence out of those two sentences out here, right? Take a look. Separated sentences, right? Separated sentences and one sentence. Now, what are we doing? Here, we are using who, that is a relative pronoun. Who is a relative pronoun, and we're using it to connect this sentence with this sentence, right? I like friends, sentence number one. I like friends, right? I like friends, and they are honest. How do I put them together? By using who. Now, something else. When we have a subject here, now we don't need to like use one more time, I like friends who they are honest, because even in Spanish, that sounds weird. That is redundant. Can you guys translate this sentence to me in Spanish? This one right here.
¿Te gustan los amigos quienes son honestos?
All right. Me gustan los amigos que sean honestos o que son honestos, right? Good. O quienes son honestos. Very good, right? Now, it would be okay if I say something like, I like friends who they are honest. Like, me gustan los amigos quienes ellos son honestos. I mean,
Se
is that
escucha
good?
raro.
Yes, right?
Y
There
nada
is-
sujeto, ¿no?
Exactly. There are two
Me gustan.
subjects, they and who. So when we use a relative pronoun, what we are doing is replacing the subject or the object of the second sentence. So as you can see, the sentence number one is the same, right? I like friends. There's no change here. Do you see any difference here? It's the same, right? I like friends. I like friends. But where did we change something in the second sentence, right? Now, the subject here is being replaced by who? What is they referring to? They is referring to
Friends.
friends, right? And here, what is who what is who referring to? Or who is who
Friends.
refers to? Again,
Friends.
friends, right? So again, this is what we're doing right here, right? That this is what who is referring to. Now we have here another example. Two more sentences, right? I prefer friends. They are fun. I prefer friends. They are fun. How can I put these two sentences together to make only one?
Who or that.
All right, but do it. Put it together. Put it together. Just like the example that you have up here.
The same. I prefer friends who are fun. Or that.
Right? Yeah, that's it, right? I prefer friends who are fun. I prefer friends that are fun. So this is, again, what we do. They is referring to friends. And in the relative pronoun, we are replacing the subject by the relative pronoun. In this case, we are using that, right? And what is that referring to? To me or to friends?
Friend.
To friends. One more time, right? So this is a relative pronoun, as you can see. I mean, those are the relative pronouns, like those words that we use to connect two different sentences, right? As you can see, we have sentence number one, sentence number two, sentence number one, sentence number two, and here we have only sentence number one. I mean, one sentence out of those two sentences connected by a relative pronoun that can be either who, that, or which in case of tense or, well, anything else, right? Anything else that is not a person. Is this clear so far?
Yes.
Okay. So something else that you get to take into account is this relative clause. This is what we are going to speak about today. We're going to speak about relative clauses. Now, how can you know what is a relative clause? Now, the relative clause is, I mean, the way to identify, to recognize a relative clause is when you have a sentence like this, like these two here, and the relative clause is going to be the words, I mean, you're going to know that it's a relative clause because you're using the relative pronoun and the rest of it. So from the relative pronoun till the end is going to be the relative clause o la cláusula relativa. ¿Cómo sé que es una cláusula relativa? Porque Ya dijimos que una cláusula es una oración, como esta. Pero es relativa, ¿por qué? Porque estoy usando un pronombre relativo. Por lo tanto, ¿cómo sé yo cuál es una cláusula relativa? Sé yo que es una cláusula relativa porque es una oración que contiene un pronombre relativo, right? Entonces, cuando ustedes ven una oración como esta, que contiene who, that, which, o cualquiera de las que antes habíamos mencionado, y, bueno, a partir de who hasta el final, eso va a ser el relative pronoun. I mean, el relative clause. That's the way the easiest way to identify it, right? The easiest way to identify it. Is that great? Like, is that clear to you?
Yes, clear.
The sticker is clear.
Okay. Now, let's continue. There are two types of relative pronouns, right? We have subject pronouns or subject relative pronouns or subject relative clauses, right? Like this one, because we're speaking about subject here. Remember that the change is always in the second sentence, not in the first one. Here, this is what I'm changing. Why do I know that it's subject? That is a subject relative pronoun, because what I am replacing by a relative pronoun is the subject of the sentence, right? In this case, they is the subject of this sentence right here. Another way of like identifying or recognizing whether a relative clause is a subject or relative clause is when we have the relative pronoun and right after the relative pronoun we have a verb, right? When right after the following word that comes after relative pronoun is a verb, like in these two cases, who are, that are, right? Those are subject pronouns. And then we have the other version or the second version. The second version is not subject pronoun, is object relative clauses, right? Let's move, right? So which are the relative pronoun as objects? Take a look at these two sentences right here. I like the type of friends. I can trust them. How many questions do we have here too? Guys, how many questions do we have here? Sorry, how many sentences do we have here? There's no
Two sentences.
Two sentences, right? We got two sentences right here. Now, in the second sentence, that is always the sentence we are going to like change a step so we can make a relative clause. Is it different from the previous one? Take a look. I can trust them. What is the difference here? That I have a subject and I have an object. So remember, a subject is the person that performs the action, la persona que realiza la acción, and in this case, the action is trust, right? And the object is the person or the people or the thing or the things that receive the action performed by the subject, right? Like, for example, again, if I say something like, let me write it down for you. If I say again this, I love you. I is the subject. Love is the action. And you is, what is you? You is the object, the receiver of the action. So, yo te amo. Yo soy quien recibe, quien hace la acción de qué? De amar. ¿Y quién recibe la acción de amar? Hecha por mí. Tú, right? So the object is that one, all right? I think that's clear. So when we have this kind of sentences, the structure is going to be a little different. Like, let's try to do it. Guys, how can you put these two sentences together by using who and that? Put it together by using who and using that, please. Try to do it.
Who the what the first?
Yes, the first one, miss.
I like the type of friends that I can trust.
Very good, right? So I like the type of friends who or that I can trust. Very good, Miss Cynthia. That was excellent. Now, what happens here? In the previous example, or in the previous, I would say the first type, we said that, I mean, we were speaking about subject relative clauses, right? So the thing or the word that we replaced before was the subject. Here, we are not going to replace the subject. What we are going to replace is going to be the object, or in other words, what or who is going to receive the action, all right? Now, when I say I can trust them, what is them referring to? Here,
Friends.
to friends.
Friends.
And when I use the relative clause and I use the relative pronoun, what is the word that I'm speaking about people, right? So I have to replace them by who? And this is how we have it. I like the type of friends who I can trust, right? I like the type of friends who I can trust. Can you guys translate this into Spanish, please?
Me gustan los tipos de amigos en quien puedo confiar.
All right, en los que puedo confiar o en que puedo confiar. Very good. Now, one more different thing, or one more, yeah, thing to make different from the first type, more difference from the first type is that, remember that I said one way to recognize that this is a subject relative pronoun in the first type was that after who, the word that we have was a what? Do you remember? In the previous type, in the subject type, not in this type. What was the word that we used after who or that?
No use subject.
It's not a subject, right? And before, what was before? What was before? Here, take a look. Who are. Justo después de who, o de that, o de which, ¿qué tenemos aquí?
Verb.
The verb, right? But what happens here? Just after who we have the subject, right? Which means that who is not the subject of this sentence, is the object of the sentence. All right, let's continue with the following example. I want friends, I can depend on them. How can you put them together? Put them together, guys.
I want friends that I can depend.
All right, that was semi-perfect, almost perfect. There was something missing, miss. And this was the missing part. Take a look. I want friends that I can depend on, right? Now, yo recuerdo, mientras estábamos en clases, una vez, porque nosotros ya habíamos hablado de esto. De hecho, la primera clase, si no estoy mal, fue un repaso de esto, ¿cierto? De las cláusulas relativas y los pronombres relativos. Les di unos ejemplos y les dije que había dos tipos, sujeto y objeto. En el caso del objeto, pues usábamos las preposiciones y le pregunté, chicos, ¿alguna vez se han preguntado por qué en inglés dejamos las preposiciones al final? Muchos me dijeron sí, pero no sabían el por qué, right? En ese momento recuerdo haberles explicado el porqué de las preposiciones al final. Hoy nuevamente se los voy a recordar. Y aquí lo vamos a ver. We have depend on. Depend is a verb, but it's a verb that is always accompanied by a preposition. So this verb cannot be alone with this preposition. I mean, I cannot say I can depend them because it makes no sense, right? I have to say I can depend on them. So the word depend or the verb depend always, is always going to be accompanied by the preposition on, right? So they are always going to be together. As they are always together, right? There's no way to separate it, right? They are always going to go together. Now, in English, when we use object relative pronouns or object relative clauses, right? And the verb that we use is always followed with a preposition. In English, we never divide or we never separate the preposition from its verb. They are always going to stay together. To explain this in Spanish, and it makes sense so that it's clear for you, en español, sí, si de pronto, bueno, hagámoslo de esta manera. ¿Quién me puede traducir esta oración en español, por favor? I want friends that I can depend on. ¿Quién podría traducirla en español? Por favor, ¿quién podría traducir la oración? I want friends that I can depend on.
Quiero amigos de los cuales pueda depender.
Ok, quiero amigos en los cuales pueda depender. Right? En español, no puedo decir depender, por ejemplo, dependerte. Eso está bien, yo te dependo. ¿Eso está bien decirlo?
No.
No, right?
No.
¿Cómo se dice eso en español entonces? ¿Cómo se diría la intención que tengo yo?
¿Respecto a la oración o respecto al ejemplo que dio?
No, de ejemplo, respecto al ejemplo que acabo de dar. Yo te dependo. Eso está mal dicho. Entonces,
Yo dependo de ti.
yo dependo de ti. En español incluso el verbo depender necesita una preposición, ¿cierto? Yo dependo de ti. Como les acabo de decir en inglés, hay ciertos verbos que no necesitan de una preposición, como en el caso o el ejemplo de trust. Aunque en español trust, que significa confiar, yo no digo te confío, aunque se puede decir yo te confío esto, ¿cierto? Pero normalmente usamos el verbo confiar con una preposición. ¿Cuál es la preposición? En. Pero ojo, eso es en español. En inglés no usamos la preposición in cuando hablamos de confiar, ¿cierto? Yo no digo I can trust in them. Yo digo I can trust them, sin la preposición. Entonces, tanto en español como en inglés, hay verbos que no llevan preposición, como en el caso de trust en inglés. Y tanto en español y en inglés, y en cualquier otro idioma, pero estamos hablando de estos dos básicamente, hay verbos que siempre van seguidos o necesitan de por sí usar una preposición para tener sentido. En el caso de depender de, que en español, que en inglés se dice depend on. No es depend of, es depend on, right? Otro ejemplo, si yo digo hablar, normalmente la palabra o el verbo hablar lo usamos con una preposición. ¿Con cuál preposición usamos hablar normalmente?
In.
Hablar in. Pues yo hablo contigo, right?
To.
With. I speak to, right? Hablarle a alguien o hablar con alguien, right? So, normalmente hay verbos que pueden cambiar de preposición, hay verbos que simplemente siempre llevan un tipo de preposición, pero el punto es que hay verbos que siempre van a llevar una preposición, como en el caso de go out with, speak with, listen to, look forward to, right? Put up with, right? Todos esos verbos siempre van a ir unidos por una preposición, right? Ahora, en español, recuerden que ya me hicieron la traducción de esto. Yo quiero amigos en los cuales pueda confiar. En español, nosotros hacemos algo que de hecho yo diría que no tiene mucha lógica. Y es lo siguiente. Yo quiero amigos. Vamos aquí en este slot aquí. like this. Esta es la traducción en español, ¿no? Yo quiero amigos en los cuales pueda depender. I mean, that's good. Pero ¿qué pasa en español? En español hacemos algo ilógico. ¿Por qué? No me pregunten, no tengo idea. Es simplemente la regla del español. ¿Qué pasa? El verbo es depender de alguien. Yo quiero amigos en los cuales pueda depender, o depender en, right, en este caso. Entonces, ¿qué pasa con esto? La preposición sería, ¿cuál sería la preposición en esta oración? Sería en, right? ¿Por qué la preposición no está junto al verbo si normalmente las preposiciones van siempre después de un verbo? Entonces, aquí el inglés tiene mucha lógica, ya que el verbo siempre va, la preposición siempre va después del verbo. Entonces, en español, lo que hacemos es que separamos la preposición del verbo y la colocamos justo antes de el pronombre relativo, que en este caso sería los cuales, right? ¿Por qué hacemos esa separación? Regla del español, cosa que en inglés no sucede. De hecho, en inglés, la manera formal o normal de decirlo sería normal. La manera lógica, de hecho, de decirlo o de usarlo sería simplemente dejar el verbo junto con su preposición unida. Right? No tienen por qué cambiarlo. Si la regla normalmente es que las preposiciones se usan después de los verbos. ¿Ya? Ya que normalmente es un complemento de las acciones. So, I speak English. Pero si yo quiero dar un complemento, I speak English with you. ¿Dónde va la preposición? Va después del verbo speak, right? So, siempre las preposiciones van después de los verbos. Entonces, siguiendo esa lógica, en inglés no la cambia. De hecho, la mantiene. Todos sus verbos que llevan preposiciones siempre van a ir unidas. No hay manera de separarlas. Por lo tanto, cuando venimos y decimos esta clase de cosas, en español suena raro porque no estamos acostumbrados, pero en inglés suena como si dejáramos la preposición al final. So this is the reason why we use the prepositions at the end. Now, they are not at the end. They are just together with the verb, right? With this verb. That's all you need to know so that you can use this in the right way. So I want friends that I can depend on. I want friends who I can depend on, right? So that's the way to use it, like to use it properly in English. It looks like, I mean, it's like kind of weird, like, I mean, to us as Spanish speakers, because when we use this in Spanish, as I was saying before, we change the position of the preposition and we take it here before the relative pronoun. But this is something that we do not, I mean, that we don't normally do in English. The normal way is the logic way, right? Like, verbs are always accompanied by prepositions. So the prepositions are always after the verbs. And if you have prepositions that always take on verbs, like in this example of depending on, then you're going to use the preposition together with the verb, and it's going to sound like the preposition is going to be at the end, right? So I want friends that I can depend on. That's the reason why we use on at the end. Now, Miss Jennifer Miranda, de pronto eso fue lo que la confundió y por eso no usó on, porque ya en su mente estaba traduciendo que decía en los cuales puedo confiar. Por lo tanto, ella pensó que ya simplemente sin usar on, pues ya aquí estaba implícito. Y no, si no lo usas, pues hace falta una parte en la oración, no va a tener sentido. Porque normalmente los verbos que siempre van con preposiciones siempre van a ser así. Porque si les quitas la preposición no van a tener sentido. Right? So guys, is this clear for you?
Yes.
Okay, so these are the two types, subject pronouns and object pronouns. So let's make a review here. Oh, something else that I shouldn't forget and that you should not forget too. When we use, this is only, I repeat, only when we use object relative pronouns and object relative clauses. All right, only with object. I repeat again, only. When you have this kind of clauses, guys, it is not necessary to use who or to use that. That's why here you says, I mean, you can see that it's in between parentheses, and also it says down here that is optional. I mean, if you want to use it, it's okay, and if you don't want to use it, if you want to omit it, it's okay. So I can say, I like the type of friends who I can trust, or I like the type of friends I can trust, without who. Now, what is the difference between using who and not using who, or using that and not using that, is that when you use, in this case, the relative pronouns, the sentence is like more formal. And when you don't use them, the sentence is like more natural. It's like the way people speak English, right? Like the way people normally talk. That's the way people, I mean, you can hear people saying something like, I like the type of friends who I can trust, but so that they sound more natural, they say stuff like, I like people I can trust, or I like friends I can trust, without using who or that, right? So remember, you can use them if you want to, you can not use it if you don't want to, right? So it depends on you. But this is only with object, relative pronouns, and relative clauses. Don't forget this. So let's move on. Here, take a look. This is something I wanted to tell you guys about. Now let me minimize this. So take a look. Don't repeat the subject or object in a relative clause. Now, we have here one thing. Take a look. I like friends who they are sincere. Guys, is this good? Like, take a look. It says here is incorrect. Do you think it's incorrect, this part here? Like, I like friends who they are sincere.
It's
It's
incorrect.
incorrect.
It's incorrect.
Why is it incorrect? Can you tell me why? Can you tell me why it is incorrect?
Es como redundante, no sé.
Yeah, actually, that's great, Miss Cynthia.
I know while they.
Yes. Using they here is like you were using two subjects, right? And the subjects are the same. I mean, they and who are the same subject, because they is referring to friends and who is referring to friends. But what is who doing? Who is actually replacing they and is connecting this sentence with this sentence. So guys, don't do this because it's incorrect. And it sounds redundant, right? As Miss Cynthia said, this is redundant. Now, what is the correct form? Without they, right? So, I like friends who are sincere. And this is the first type, the subject type, right? Now, we have here the second type. I like friends that I can go out with them. Is this incorrect or not? What do you think? How do you feel when you hear this? I like friends that I can go out with them. How do you feel?
Si fuera en español, estaría bien. Pero
You
como
sure?
en inglés, no, eso está mal.
Tradúcelo en español, por favor.
Aunque me gustan los amigos que puedo salir con ellos.
¿Eso está bien
Algo
para
así.
ti en español?
Pues yo lo he escuchado así.
Me gustan los amigos con quien yo pueda salir con ellos.
Lo he escuchado así.
Pero suena raro, ¿no?
Sí, suena raro por eso.
¿Por qué
pero sí
suena
se
raro?
dice así,
¿Por qué suena
porque se
raro?
repite.
Redundante,
Es
¿no?
redundante
Es
otra vez.
redundante nuevamente. ¿Con cuál me refiero? ¿A quién me refiero con them? What is them referring to? It's referring to
Friends.
friends. So it is not necessary to use them one more time. Y aquí pasa lo mismo. Este es otro verbo que va con preposición. Salir con alguien, ¿cierto? So go out with. So va a haber la intención porque ya no va a haber aquí una ¿cómo es? Un complemento o con más complemento después de esto. va a dar la intención de que la preposición va a ser la última. So, take a look. I like friends that I can go out with. Right? I like friends that I can go out with. Again, that is replacing them. And that is referring to friends right here. So again, using double subject and double object is incorrect. It's redundant. You don't need to use it. That's why you are using a relative pronoun that is actually replacing the subject and replacing the object. Is that clear?
Yes.
Okay, so let's move on to the next example, and this one is for the prepositions. Take a look. Remember, use the preposition if it's needed. Si no usan la preposición como estaba diciendo hace un momento, en el caso de depend on, si ustedes no usan la preposición, la oración no va a tener sentido. Por lo tanto, si ustedes tienen un verbo el cual lleva una preposición, no la olviden. Usen la preposición. ¿Dónde? ¿Dónde va la preposición?
Al lado del verbo.
Al lado del verbo. No, yo sé que de pronto en algún momento de nuestras vidas, o de algún momento, no de nuestras vidas, o sea, en algún momento de los cursos, no solamente acá, o de pronto en algún otro lado, lo hayan visto, no sé, les hayan dicho o enseñado que la preposición va al final de la oración, así como les dije hace un rato. No, no es eso, no es que vaya al final de la oración, right? Es simplemente que la preposición va junto al verbo y no se mueve, right? Siempre va así. Ahora, un ejemplo claro de que no, va la preposición al final de la oración es justamente este primer ejemplo que tenemos acá. I want a friend, I can talk to him easily. ¿Quién podría, por favor, unir esta oración usando un pronombre relativo?
I want a friend who I can talk to easily.
Who I can talk to easily. Ahora, si se dan cuenta, to no está al final de la oración, ¿cierto? Simplemente está acompañando al verbo como debería ser. Ahora, si seguíamos la regla, o de pronto lo que siempre nos dicen de que el verbo, de que la preposición va al final de la oración, entonces sería algo como I want a friend who I can talk easily to, y eso no tendría sentido siendo honestos. Alright? ¿Por qué? Porque está separando la preposición de el verbo y no estaría bien. Right? Aquí, a diferencia de las oraciones previas, de los ejemplos sí previos, aquí sí tenemos más complemento, right? Por lo tanto, nos deja ver que la preposición no está al final. So, I want a friend who I can talk to easily. Y si le quito easily, ¿cómo sería? I want a friend who I can talk to. That's it, right? So, aquí la preposición es necesaria, ya que tiene sentido. Now, we have the following example. I like to meet a friend. I have fun with her.
Teacher, in this case is, I like to meet a friend that I have fun with.
Excellent, mister. I like to meet a friend that I have fun with. Again, you are not using her because here is already being used by using that. And here, the preposition is along with the verb.
¿Se me escuchó bien?
Yes. Esto fue lo que dijiste, lo dijiste igualito, ¿no?
Sí, claro.
Yes. I like to meet a friend that I can have fun with. So very good, mister. It was excellent. This is it. I don't repeat again. You eliminated her because her is referring to friends. And as this is a relative pronoun, a relative clause, sorry, then that is replacing her, and that is referring to the friends, right? And here the preposition stays together with the verb. ¿Cuál sería el verbo en este caso? Have fun with. ¿Qué sería? Divertirse con. Este verbo es más como una expresión, pero sigue siendo un verbo junto con su preposición, right? Now let's move on to the next example here. It's nice to have friends. You can buy presents for them. Who can do that? Who can do that one? It's nice to have friends. You can buy presents for them.
Uh,
Try it.
Teacher, it's nice to have friends who I can buy present for.
Voila. Beautiful. Beautiful English, right? That was beautiful. Excellent, mister. Take a look. It's nice to have friends who I can buy presents for. Right? So, mister, that was
Bien, bien, bien.
excellent. So, is it clear now? How to use the prepositions?
Yes.
How to use the who and that for subject and objects? Is that clear?
Yes, yes.
Great, guys. That's excellent. Now we can move on to today's topic. This was the review. Now you know.
Teacher, how is called this subject?
I mean, this topic is called relative pronouns. Take a look.
Okay.
Relative pronouns. Again, there are two types. Relative pronouns, subject relative pronouns, and objects
Okay.
relative pronouns, right? And they can be used like we have been practicing right now. So guys,
Yeah.
I feel happy. I'm glad that you understood this part. Now this was like a review on relative pronouns. And now let's speak about the relative clauses. We have already spoken about the relative clauses. Like, which is the relative clause right here? Can you tell me in the first sentence? What is the relative clause? Can you tell me? Can you identify it? Where is the relative clause in the first sentence? I want a friend who I can talk to easily. What is the relative clause?
I can talk to easily.
All right. Who I can talk to easily or I can talk to easily is the relative clause, right? How about here? I like to meet a friend that I have fun with. What is the relative clause?
That I have fun
with. Good, that is relative clause, right? Now, here, it's nice to have a friend who you can buy presents for.
Who you can
buy
presents.
Who you can buy friends for.
Yes, who you can buy presents for. That is the relative clause, right? Now, that is what we are going to speak about. This time, we already spoke about the whole thing, but now let's emphasize or let's go deeper on the relative clause. You know how to identify it now, but let's go to the relative clause, guys. Let me go for it. Hang on. You cannot see anything, right? You are seeing a black screen, right?
No se ve la diapositiva.
Which one?
Here we
have Mike and
Mike
Monica.
and Monica.
Great. Then here we have Mike and Monica. Thank you. Take a look at this. Here we have two people. They are friends, right? So Mike and Monica. Mike is having a party at his apartment. Monica and Mike are good friends. Mike, sorry, are good friends from when they were young, but they haven't seen each other for a while. Monica doesn't know some of the people at the party, so she's asking Mike about some of them. Now, you're going to watch a video about them talking about this situation, all right? And after this video, we are going to analyze the relative clauses. So please pay attention and hang on. Let me see if you can, let me share my computer sound because maybe you can tell me if you can listen to the video, all right?
Okay.
There you go.
Okay, so here we have.
Can you listen?
Yes.
All right, there you go. Listen carefully and then we analyze. Oh, sorry.
Okay. So here we have Mike and Monica. Mike is having a party at his apartment. So Monica and Mike are good friends from when they were young, but haven't seen each other for a while. Monica doesn't know some of the people at the party, so she's asking Mike about some of them. So let's listen to the conversation that they have about the different people at the party.
Hey, this is a great party, Mike. Thanks so much for inviting me.
Yeah, no worries, Monica. I'm just glad you could make it. It's been a long time since I saw you last.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I don't recognize many of your friends anymore.
Really? Like who?
For example, I don't think I've ever seen that guy over there.
Which guy? Are you talking about the guy that is in the yellow shirt?
Who, John? No, I know who he is. Remember, he used to date my roommate, who I hated in college.
Oh yeah, that's right. I almost forgot that they went out for a little while.
I'm talking about the guy who was dancing with that girl over there.
Oh, Peter. Yeah, he's my new coworker that I was telling you about.
Oh, okay. He's the guy that you share an office with, right?
Yeah, that's him. And so Peter, who loves to dance obviously, is dating the girl in the green sweater.
Ah, okay. Who's that other girl?
You mean the girl who Peter's dancing with? That's my cousin Ashley.
No, not her. I met Ashley at your brother's wedding last year, remember? No, I'm talking about the girl who was standing alone by the window.
Oh, her. That's Kim. She's Ashley's friend that's studying abroad right now. She's from Korea.
Really? Maybe I should go talk to her. I wonder if I remember my Korean from when I lived there.
That's right, you should. Because I'm pretty sure that she's from Seoul, which is the place where you lived, right?
Oh, cool. What a coincidence. I'm gonna go talk to her right now.
All right, guys. So that was the video, and that was the conversation between Mike and Monica. Right now, we're going to play the video one more time, but this time I am going to stop. Like, I'm going to pause the video, and you are going to tell me, like, where are the relative clauses and which type are there, if they are subject or object pronoun, object relative clauses. All right, so let's repeat it one more time.
Mike and Mike they were young, but haven't seen each other. Monica, think about some of them, about the.
All right, there you go.
Hey, this is a great party, Mike. Thanks so much for inviting me.
Yeah, no worries, Monica. I'm just glad you could make it. It's been a long time since I saw you last.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I don't recognize many of your friends anymore.
Really? Like who?
For example, I don't think I've ever seen that guy over there.
Which guy? Are you talking about the guy that is in...
All right, we got here the first question here. Take a look. Which guy? Are you talking about that guy that is in the yellow shirt? Now, where is the relative clause, guys? In this example right here. Where is the relative clause?
There is in the yellow shirt.
That is in the yellow shirt. Very good. That is in the yellow shirt. All right, great. And give me a second. All right. And what type is this? Is a subject or an object?
Subject.
Is a subject. Now remember, what is the easiest way to recognize whether it is a subject or object? when we have a verb right after the relative pronoun, it is going to be a subject relative clause, right? And when we have a subject right after the relative pronoun, is going to be an object relative clause. Don't forget that. Let's continue to see if you can see more.
The yellow shirt.
Who, John? No.
Right, we have the next one, right? So who, John? No. I know who he is. Remember, he used to date my roommate who I hated at college. All right, where is the relative clause?
Who I hated in the college.
In the college.
Very good, guys. Who I hated in college. Now, what type is this one? Subject or object?
Object.
Object. Very good. Why object? The easy form. After the relative pronoun who, we have a subject, no, a verb, right? Good, guys, good. Let's move on to the next one.
I know who he is. Remember, he used to date my roommate, who I hated in college.
Oh yeah, that's right. I almost forgot that they went out for a little while.
I'm talking about the guy who was dancing.
Right, here we have the next one, right? I'm talking about the guy who's dancing with that girl over there. Where is the relative clause?
Who is dancing with that girl over there?
Excellent. What type is it? Subject or object?
Subject.
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 The ones who said subject were good. Actually, guys, you were excellent so far. Let's move on. So far, so good.
With that girl over there.
Oh, Peter.
Oh, what's up? Hang on. Hang on. All right, here. Oh, Peter, yeah. He's my new coworker that I was telling you about. Where is the relative clause?
That I was telling you about.
Great. And what type is this one? Subject or object?
Object.
Object.
Great. Hey, you're so intelligent, people. Let's move on. Where do you want to play? All right. All right, give me a second. Oh, please don't take so long to play. All right, guys, here we got some technical issues. All right, let's wait for it to come back to normal. So how long is it gonna take? Oh, what's up? No, wait. Oh, all right. I will have to restart the program. Hey guys, I'm going to open it to restart it, to open it up again to see if it works. Just give me a second. Here. Tell me whether you can see the PowerPoint presentation. Can you see it?
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
No, we were like right over here.
Oh.
Oh, Peter.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's my new coworker that I was telling you about.
Oh, okay.
So we have another one here. He is the guy that you share an office with, right? Where is the relative clause?
That you share an office with, right?
That you have an office.
Very good. That you share an office with. Good. And what type is this one? Object or subject?
Object.
Great. Excellent,
He's
guys.
the guy that you share an office with, right?
Yeah, that's him. And so Peter, who loves
Here. Yeah, that's him. So Peter, who loves to dance, obviously, is dating the girl in the green sweater. Now, where is the relative clause?
Who loves to dance, obviously.
All right. And what type is this one? Subject or object?
Subject.
Subject.
All right. Can you see anything else from this sentence, or that's
Loves
it?
to. Subject.
All right, this is subject. Is there anything else that you would like to say about this type of relative clause, or it's okay, it's already done? Or we can continue? All right. Let's continue, and then in a minute you will see what is the difference, because there is something extra here, and this is actually today's topic. So
dance, obviously, is dating the girl in the green sweater.
Ah, okay. Who's that other girl?
You mean the girl?
Here, you mean the girl who Peter is dancing with? Where is the relative clause?
Who Peter
is dancing with.
Great. And is that subject or object?
Object.
You're perfect, people.
The girl who Peter's dancing with? That's my cousin Ashley.
No, not her. I meant Ashley at your brother's wedding.
All right, take a look. So, no, I'm talking about the girl who's standing alone by the window. Relative clause.
Who is standing
alone by the window?
Perfect. Type.
subject.
Subject.
People, I don't know why you're studying English. You're so perfect. You're American people. All right, let's move on. Let's move on. No, why again? All right, let's.
Okay.
It's my fault because sometimes this.
Talking about the girl who is alone. By
That's
right,
Kim.
here.
She's Ashley's friend that's studying abroad right now.
All right.
She's from Korea.
Oh wait, she's from Korea. Hang on. So this one, she's actually friends that's studying along abroad right now. So where is the relative clause?
There's
Starting abroad right
now.
now.
Great. And what type is it?
Subject.
People, you are perfection.
Right now. She's from Korea.
Really? Maybe I should go talk to her. I wonder if I remember my Korean from when I lived there.
That's right, you should.
All right, take a look here. I'm pretty sure that she's from Seoul, which is the place where you live, right? Where is the relative clause?
Which is the place where you live.
The place where you live.
And what type is it?
Object.
Subject.
Subject. All right, subject. Good people. Oh, that was it. That was it. So take a look. As you were saying, you were very good, to be honest, identifying which were the relative clauses and what type they were. Now, something else that we gotta take into account now that we are going to talk about relative clauses and not exactly about relative pronouns is this. Take a look. The relative clauses give more information about the words that they follow, and they begin with a relative pronoun. So we already know this. Maybe not that they give more information, but we know that they begin with a relative pronoun. Like, for example, take a look at the picture. It's the same picture than in the conversation. And then she says, which is this guy? I mean, which guy is Peter? Then she says, right? We're still using the same here. You know why? Then she says, Peter is the guy who is dancing. Now, again, it says that the relative clause begins with a relative pronoun. So where is the relative clause, guys? Here in this example.
Who is dancing?
Great. That is the relative clause. Who is dancing? Now, what happens if I just decide, let's say, hang on. Let me try to do something here. Drawings. Now, what happens, guys, if I eliminate this part and I just have Peter is the guy who? Is that like, or I would say this part right here. Peter is the guy. Is that like that's incomplete, right? It's
Yes,
like
it's
you need more
incomplete.
information so that you can know the guy. Which
I
guy?
suppose that Peter is the guy.
All right, all right. But then,
No,
but take a look at here. Like, just put yourself in the girl's shoes, right? Put yourself in the girl's shoes. Imagine you're the girl, and then you're saying, "Hey, which guy is Peter?" And then I say, "Peter is the guy." What are you going to think about? I mean, Johan.
¿Cuál de todos?
I mean,
Hay
what
muchos
guy?
chicos.
There's one, there are two, there are three guys. Come on, Johan. I need information about it. I need to know which specific is it, right? So what do I do then? Then what I do is using a relative clause, in this case, that is going to give me essential information about the subject, right? Who is dancing? Who is dancing is telling me who the guy is. So from these three people, from these three boys, who is the guy who's dancing? I mean, take a look at the gordito boy here, right? This boy right here. This is the only one that's dancing. So that is Peter. So who is dancing is giving me essential information, important information, relevant information. Yes, mister, what do you want to say? Is there anything you want to say, mister?
No.
All right. So is this clear? This is essential information, right? If I don't use this, the sentence is incomplete. Something is missing, right? All right, so here for this new topic, guys, we are going to be talking about two types of relative clauses. Actually, there are two types of relative clauses. The first type is this type, right? The one that gives essential information about the subject of the sentence, right? So I can call this a defining clause. So there are two types: defining clauses and non-defining clauses, right? A defining clause then is a clause that gives essential, important, or relevant information about the subject, and a non-defining is just the one that gives extra information, not important information about the subject. So take a look. These are like a defining and a non-defining clause. Take a look. A defining clause is a relative, is a relative clause that gives essential information to define a word. Like in the previous example, this who is dancing is defining whom? Is defining the guy. Which guy? Peter. This clause is giving me very essential information about the guy so that I can know what the guy is. In this case, Peter is giving me essential information. Again, if I eliminate this part, what happens? I won't know who Peter is, right? Now, a non-defining relative clause is a clause that gives extra information about a word, but this one doesn't define the word. This one doesn't define the subject. It's just extra information. Here, the information is essential, is vital, is important, is relevant. Here, the information is not vital, is not essential, is not important, is not relevant. It's just irrelevant, not important, extra information about the subject, right? So those are the two types, defining and non-defining clauses. Is this clear so far?
Yes.
Now, so far, I have just given you an example of a defining clause. Now, let's move on to a non-defining. But first, let's go back to defining clauses example. So, take a look. Who's that guy over there? He says, I mean, which one? There are three, right? Now, she says, oh, I'm talking about the guy who or that is dancing. Who or that is dancing is the relative clause. So this is a defining relative clause, right? Why is it a defining relative clause? Because, again, if I omit or if I eliminate the clause itself, what happens? Here. What happens if I eliminate this part? And I'm talking about the guy. Which guy, right? This is one more time incomplete. So if I eliminate this part, this is the part that is going to give me the essential information to define, in this case, whom? The guy, right? So this is a defining relative clause because the clause is defining, in this case, the guy. Is that clear?
Yes.
All right, let's move on then to the next example. So this is the defining information, defining the guy. Right? Now, the non-defining clause. Take a look. We already know that the guy who's dancing is Peter. We already know that, right? Because they said it here. They said it here, right? This is Peter. Who's the guy here? Peter, right? So we know that he is Peter. And remember that a non-defining relative clause just gives non-important information, non-essential information, just extra information, right? And it doesn't define the subject like in the previous one. So let's see the example. She says, okay, so that's Peter. I remember you told me about him. Then the man says, Peter, who loves to dance, is dating the girl in the green sweater. Now, what happens here if I eliminate, what happens if I eliminate this part right here, guys? Is it incomplete? Is it okay? Is it incorrect? What do you think? If I say
It's okay. It's okay.
All right. No cambió el sentido de la oración, ¿cierto? Peter is dating the girl in the green sweater. I mean, the information is perfect. Nothing is incorrect. Everything is fine. So this means that this information that I am deleting, right, that I am omitting is extra. Thank you. Is not important, right? Is not relevant. What is it giving? Just extra information about whom? About Peter in this case. So this is a non-defining relative clause. So the first way to identify a defining clause from a non-defining clause is that a defining clause gives essential information and a non-defining clause gives extra information, right? I think that's clear. That's clear, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Great. So
Yes, Peter have back pain.
Extra information about Peter. Well, that's great. Now, another way to identify a non-defining clause is that it's normally divided by commas. As you can see here, this is like I have two different sentences in between one sentence, right? Like this is a sentence inside the real sentence, right? So Peter, is dating the girl in the green sweater is the normal sentence. But as you can see, I have another sentence inside the sentence. So Peter, who loves to dance, is dating the girl in the green sweater, right? So how can I identify that? How can I know that this is a non-defining relative clause? Different from giving extra information, that I am using commas. Guys, if you don't use commas, it's incorrect. All right? So you always have to use or separate the non-defining clause with commas, right? The non-defining clause can be here, in between, or at the end, depending on what you want to say. In this case, this information right here, this extra information is about whom? It's about Peter. So the extra information has to be close to Peter. So Peter, who loves to dance, right? I cannot say Peter is dating the girl in the green sweater who loves to dance. If I say that, who is who loves to dance referring to, guys? If I change the position of this and I say Peter is dating the girl in the green sweater who loves to dance, who do you think that would refer to? To Peter?
A la chica.
All right, to the girl, right? So we use the non-defining relative clause in between commas, always close to the person that you want to give the extra information to. All right, don't forget that. So this is another way of recognizing a non-defining clause. Now, something else that you gotta take into account is that in a non-defining clause, you are never going to use that. Here, you cannot use that. In a defining clause, you can use that, right? You can use it. Remember that the difference between who and that is that who is more formal and that is less formal, right? But you can use it. But in the case of non-defining, you cannot use that here, right? Never. If you're referring to people, you have to use who only, not that. If you are referring to an animal or to an object or a thing, you are not going to use that. What do you have to use?
Which,
right? So remember, again, it's impossible to use that in a non-defining relative clause. Great, guys. So let's see if you can recognize when it's defining and when it's non-defining. So take a look at the first example here. She's from Seoul, Korea, which is the place where Monica lived. Is this defining or non-defining?
Defining.
Take a look. Which is the place where Monica lived? Essential information? Take a look. What happens if I do this? What happens if I do this? She's from Seoul, Korea.
Extra information in the second part.
No defining.
So this is non-defining, right? Because this is extra information. Now, another way of identifying that this is non-defining is that here we have what? Take a look.
Comma.
A comma. The relative clause is being separated from the sentence with a comma. As in the example that I gave you before, remember? Here, let me show you. This sentence is divided from the real sentence by using commas. The same thing happens here. I am using a comma, so this is a non-defining clause, all right? Extra information, non-defining. And I cannot use that. Good, now how about here? She says this friend that is studying abroad right now. What type is this one?
Defining.
That is defining. This one is giving essential information about Ashley's friend, right? So guys, is this clear?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now let's have some more practice with this, because maybe, I mean, it's an easy topic. It's easy, but it's something you need to have a lot of practice in. Now let me see, guys. What can you see?
Relative clauses and
Relative
relative
clause and
pronouns.
relative pronouns.
All right, so you can see the normal thing. Great. Now take a look. This time we are going to continue speaking about relative pronouns and relative clauses. Let's begin with relative pronouns one more time, right? Now remember that we spoke about who, that, and which. Who is more formal than that, right? And can also be used, that can also be used for people. And we have this, whom. So take a look at the example here. Do you know the man who lives next door? Guys, what type, where is the relative clause? Tell me.
Who lives next door?
Great. And what type is this? Subject or object?
Object.
Subject.
Subject. And now, what type of relative clause is this? Defining or non-defining?
Defining.
Defining, right? Because what happens if I do this? Do you know the man?
Incomplete information.
That is incomplete information.
Yes, right. What man? What man you're talking about, right? Incomplete information. So this is defining. Good, right? So far, so good. It's understood. Here we're using who. But if you want to be, we already know that it's subject because it goes after who, right? So this is the subject. We already know this. But take a look at this example right here. The woman who I was playing tennis with was my sister. What type is this one? Subject
Okay.
or object?
Object.
Object. What type is this one? Defining or non-defining? Defining. Why defining? Because what happens if I do this? Let's see. Let me get my stuff here. What happens if I do this? The woman was my sister, but yes, but what woman, all right, is defining. So good. Good. This is a object. Good. And this is a defining one. So far, so good. Now, recuerden que yo les dije lo de la preposición, ¿cierto? Take a look. Play with. Aquí la preposición está al final, ¿cierto? The woman who I was playing tennis with was my sister. Aquí la preposición está junto al verbo, como les había dicho antes, como ya les había explicado antes. Ahora, ¿cuándo usamos whom? When do we use whom? Well, normally we use whom when we want to make a version that is very similar to the Spanish version. ¿Cómo podrían traducir esto en español, chicos? ¿Podrían ayudarme, por favor, con la traducción?
¿Cuál, profe?
La traducción de esta segunda oración. The woman who I was playing tennis with was my sister.
La mujer con la que estaba jugando tenis.
La mujer con quien yo estaba jugando tenis cuando estaba mi hermana. No.
Era mi hermana, era mi hermana.
No, la mujer
¿Con quién
estaba jugando tenis era mi hermana. All right? La mujer con quien o con que yo estaba jugando tenis era mi hermana. Ahora, si se dan cuenta, recuerden lo que les dije. ¿Qué hacemos en español? La preposición la separamos del verbo. ¿Y dónde lo colocamos? La mujer con quién. ¿Dónde colocamos la preposición? En español. Estoy preguntando en español, right?
Antes del
del pronombre relativo.
Exacto, antes del pronombre relativo, es decir, justo en esta parte de aquí, en este espacio de aquí, ¿cierto? En inglés, simplemente lo dejamos al lado del verbo como debería ser. Les explico nuevamente. En inglés hay una versión muy parecida, de hecho parecidísima, la misma versión que en español. Es una versión muy formal, que sería llevar la preposición en este lugar. Esto solamente pasa con algunos pronombres relativos, como son who, what y which. No se puede con el resto. ¿Oyeron? Repito, who, what y which. Con el resto no se puede. En el caso de who, es cuando venimos y usamos whom. Sucede una transformación. Cuando tenemos una preposición, o cuando una preposición está antes o va antes de un pronombre relativo, en este caso who va a tener una pequeña transformación. Va a dejar de ser who para ser whom. All right? So, ya les digo el ejemplo. Este mismo ejemplo que tenemos aquí, vamos a transformarlo y hacerlo con whom, que sería de esta manera. The woman with whom I was playing tennis was my sister. Do you see the difference? Can you see the difference from this to this example? The woman who I was playing tennis with was my sister. The woman with whom I was playing tennis was my sister. So, aquí en este segundo ejemplo, la preposición está justo detrás de el pronombre relativo. ¿Y qué pasa con el pronombre relativo who? Sufre una pequeña transformación. Se le agregó M, right? Whom. Nuevamente repito, esto solamente pasa con los pronombres who, what y which. Who, what y which. Eso fue lo que les dijo, ¿cierto? Sí. Who, what and which. Del resto no se puede ninguno. ¿Oyeron? No olviden eso. Ahora, esta es una versión, chicos, muy formal. De hecho, no se usa comúnmente. Rara vez una persona usa esto. Y si lo usa es porque es una persona que está refiriéndose de manera, que está diciendo algo de manera muy formal. ¿Cuál sí se usa con normalidad? La que ya les había explicado previamente. The woman who I was playing tennis with was my sister. Es decir, colocar la preposición con el verbo como ya se les había explicado, que es la manera lógica de hacerlo. All right? Es decir, pueden usar las que ustedes más gusten. Eso sí, repito, este no es muy usual y este es mucho más natural. ¿Claro?
Claro, profe.
Okay, so let's move on. So we have here the object, everything is just the same, right? And take a look, it says here, use whom as the object pronoun for people, but a bit formal. Actually, not a bit, for a very formal situation. So take a look at here. The boy whom we met was very nice. Esto también es posible. Aquí no estamos usando una preposición, ¿cierto? Aquí no estamos usando preposición para poder transformar. Ya les había dicho que para poder transformar who a whom, tiene que primero haber una preposición antes de who, right? Pero también puedo usar whom sin la preposición. Aunque nuevamente repito, esta versión sí es bastante inusual. La pueden usar, puede que sea un poco más formal, pero es mucho más inusual. De manera un poquito más usual, ver whom es siempre con una preposición antes de él. All right? Don't forget this, guys. Then we have whose. Whose, someone told me that means cuyo, cuya, cuyos o cuya, ¿cierto? So, do you know the boy whose dad is a pilot? Whose is referring to the boy, but actually is referring to the possession. So take a look. This is how we use this. En español nosotros no usamos mucho esto, ¿cierto? conoces al chico cuyo padre es un piloto. Esto es muy formal, ¿cierto? Nosotros hacemos esto de manera muy, digamos que para decir esto, cambiamos la oración por completo. Decimos algo como...
Como que tiene.
Como conoces, sería algo como...
Conoces al chico que tiene un papá que es piloto.
Take a look. Do you know the boy? Do you know the boy? Do you know the boy? I mean, that's it. I mean, in English, there's no way. In English, you need to use whose. Do you know the boy whose dad is a pilot? Pero en español podemos usar de otra manera. Do you know the boy? That his dad is a pilot. I mean, I don't know.
Hasta nos comemos porque nosotros aquí usamos, hasta decimos el pelado
de
piloto es piloto, que el papá es piloto, y ahora decimos el que tiene.
Exacto, nosotros usamos, o sea, digamos que nuestro idioma es un poco más flexible en ese aspecto, ¿cierto? Cuando hablamos en inglés, normalmente usamos whose para esta clase de situaciones, que en español, de hecho, usar cuyo o cuya es muy, pero muy formal. De hecho, no solemos usarlo. Esto sería de pronto la manera en inglés de decirlo. The boy's dad is a pilot. Right? The boy's dad is a pilot.
Do you know the pilot's son?
Do you know the boy's dad who is a pilot? Right? Maybe that would be like the version that we have here. Now, let me give you another example. The car whose driver died in the crash. El carro cuyo conductor murió en el accidente, en el choque. Suena muy, pero muy formal, right?
Bastante disimulada esa pérdida.
So, guys, this is how we use this in English. So, this is what we use whose for. And one more thing that I have to tell you guys is the pronunciation. Please do not confuse the pronunciation of whose with whose. That is different, right? Let me show it to you. Here we have this. All right, this one right here, this one pronounces whose. All right, so esa suena más como una Z. Whose. Do you know the boy whose dad is a pilot? The car whose driver died in the crash. Este es whose, con ese, all right? The pronunciation is different. Clear?
Yes.
Okay, let's move on. Which and that. Take a look at this. Did you hear the cat which was screaming all night? All right, where is the relative clause?
Which was
screaming all night.
Good. What type is this? Subject or object?
Object.
Object.
You sure?
Subject.
Subject. Excuse me,
Okay.
subject.
Subject, the verb, take a look, is after the relative pronoun. Now, what type of relative clause is this one? Defining or non-defining?
Defining.
All right, defining, because it's giving very essential information about the cats in this case. Good, guys, good. Now, you use which when we speak about objects or things in general, right? Animals and stuff like this. And we could interchange it. If you want to say, do you hear the cat that was screaming all night? It's also possible, right? The only thing between these two is that which is more formal than that. Isn't Spanish saying something like with which? Escuchaste el gato, el cual estaba ¿cómo es? Yeah, it says screaming here. Estaba maullendo, por decirlo así, toda la noche. El cual, right? Pero con that sería, escuchaste el gato que estaba. So, con that es más informal y con which es más formal. That's the only difference between them, right? The car which I was driving last night was my dad's. Where is the relative clause. Guys, where is the relative clause?
I was driving last night was my dad's.
Very good. What type is it? Object or subject?
Object.
Great. What type of relative clause it is? Defining or non-defining?
Defining.
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 Ya están muy claros con este tema. So I'm happy about it.
Pro.
Yeah, you're on fire, guys. So good. All right, take a look. I can use that whenever I want it, right?
Pero,
Now,
o sea, entonces,
Estamos tan claros que no hay tarea.
¿cuándo usar, ¿cuándo usar or that? O sea, ¿cuál es la forma más adecuada de usarla? No hay una reglita o algo así.
No, simplemente usen which cuando ustedes quieran ser más formal y usen that cuando quieran ser más informal. Eso es lo único. Formalidad. Cuando algo es más informal, cuando algo es más formal. En el caso de más informal sería that o normal sería that. En el caso de
Polite.
formal o polite sería which or who or whom. Right? Eso sería formales. Right? Eso es todo lo que tienen que tener en cuenta dependiendo cuál quieran usar. Pueden usar lo que ustedes quieran. Yes.
Yo todavía no tengo muy claro cuando dicen subject, object.
Con subject and object. Bueno. A ver. Cuando decimos which, ¿a qué se está refiriendo which, Miss Lastenia? Aquí. En esta oración. ¿A qué se refiere which aquí?
Los gatos.
Al gato. El gato. Right? Ahora.
Sí, el
¿Qué, ahora como tal, qué o quién está haciendo la acción? ¿Y cuál es la acción? Primero que todo, ¿cuál es la acción? La acción es gritar, ¿cierto?
Estaba gritando toda la noche.
Esta es la acción, gritar toda la noche. Bien. Ahora, ¿qué o quién la hace? ¿Tú o el gato?
El gato.
Exacto, lo cual quiere decir que el gato es el sujeto de la oración, es quien realiza la oración, right? Es quien realiza la acción. Ahora, cuando yo digo sujeto, y cuando me refiero a los pronombres relativos, es que este which o that se refiere ¿a qué? Al sujeto de la oración. En este caso se refiere a that. Algo más que lo hace sujeto es que justo después de which, el pronombre relativo, va a venir la acción, o en otras palabras, el verbo, right? ¿Por qué? Porque which es simplemente, se está refiriendo directamente a cat, al sujeto de la oración. Por eso le llamamos a esto sujeto. Ahora, en el caso de objeto, digamos que es prácticamente lo mismo, solamente que ahora yo no me voy a referir a la persona o la cosa que realiza la acción, sino a la persona o la cosa que recibe la acción. Hagamos el mismo ejemplo o lo mismo que estábamos haciendo con el primer ejemplo. ¿A qué crees tú, Miss, que se refiere which? ¿A mí o al carro?
Carro, creo.
Léelo. The car, which I was driving last night, was my dad's. El carro, el cual yo estaba manejando anoche, era de mi papá. Cuando yo digo el cual, ¿se refiere a mí o se refiere al carro?
Al carro.
Al carro, ¿cierto? Ahora, ¿quién o qué realiza la acción de manejar? ¿El carro o yo? Yo, ¿cierto? Ahora, en la oración pasada, which se refería directamente al sujeto, pero aquí no se está refiriendo al sujeto de la oración. El sujeto de la oración es quien realiza la acción, ¿cierto? Aquí yo soy quien realiza la acción. Pero which no se refiere a mí, quien realiza la acción. Se refiere a el car, que es quien recibe la acción de manejar. Por eso digo que en este caso which es el objeto de la oración, porque es lo que recibe la acción hecha por el sujeto. Y esa es la razón por la cual decimos sujeto y objeto. Ahora, hay otra manera de reconocerlo, identificarlo, que es la que te había dicho. En el caso de objeto, ¿sabes tú qué es objeto cuando el pronombre relativo va seguido directamente del verbo? Eso enseguida lo hace sujeto. Pero cuando el pronombre relativo no va seguido directamente del verbo, si te das cuenta, el verbo es was, ¿cierto? Was driving. Pero aquí no va directamente como aquí was screaming, sino que entre el verbo y el relativo va un sujeto. Cuando el pronombre relativo va seguido de un sujeto, inmediatamente lo vamos a volver objeto, right? Porque no va a estar refiriéndose al sujeto como tal de oración, sino a quien recibe o a quien recibe la oración hecha por el sujeto. ¿Is that clear, Miss? ¿Está claro, Miss? A eso es lo que nos referimos con sujeto y objeto.
Gracias.
Okay, Miss. So, people, let's continue then. Now, you've all passed the test, which is not surprise. Where is the relative clause?
Which is not surprise.
All right.
Surprise.
Good. Which is not surprise. Which is no surprise. Good. Now, is this, what type is this? Object or subject?
Subject.
Subject. ¿Por qué subject? Porque se recuerda, mira, las tenía. Aquí tenemos which, que se refiere al test, ¿cierto? Pero, take a look, ¿qué pasa? El verbo va directamente después de el pronombre relativo. Por eso es subject. Now, what type of relative clause is this? Defining or non-defining?
Non-defining.
Why non-defining? Because we are using
Comma.
a beautiful comma right here. And this is just extra information, not important, right? Very good, guys. So take a look. You've all passed the test. If I eliminate this part, everybody passed the test. We don't care whether it is no surprise or not. So these are what we're talking about, right? So take a look. Mark tells everyone that Kevin is an idiot, which isn't true, of course. Now, is this defining or non-defining? Guys, is this defining or non-defining, the second sentence?
Not defining.
Claro, no, será
No, defining. Why not defining? Because it's divided in between commas. Now take a look. The car that I drive is old. Right? This is a defining.
Y por WhatsApp.
This is a defining clause, right? Why? Because the car, what car that I drive is old, that is giving me essential information, right? So this is a defining clause. The dog that bit me was huge. This is also a defining clause because it's giving essential information about the dog in this case, right? You can also use which. You can say the car which or the dog which. Now, the man that called me was my best friend. The man that called me was my best friend. Is this defining or non-defining, guys?
Defining.
All right. Is this subject or object?
Subject.
Subject.
The second one. Is subject or object?
Subject.
All right. Subject, this one.
Subject.
Is the first one object or subject?
Object.
Object. Exactly, right? Now, defining and undefining. What type is this one, guys? This is the boy who won the race. Is it defining or non-defining?
Defining.
Defining.
Yes.
Because it's the boy that won the race.
Exactly, right? If we eliminate this part, then we don't know what the boy is, right? How about this one? Defining or non-defining? This is Peter, who won the race.
Now defining.
Defining.
Non-defining, right? We already know Peter, so we don't care if he won the race or not. We just care that he is Peter. And this divided by a comma. Defining and non-defining. Easy, right?
Yes.
Let's move on. Essential information and extra information. Here, these are non-defining. Again, Jim is very nice. Jim, whom we met yesterday, is very nice. If we eliminate this part, it's okay, right? Nothing happens. Is correct. London, which is the capital of England, is a large city. Again, this is extra information. And she couldn't read, which surprised me, is also essential information, right? All of them are divided by commas, and that's why we say that they are non-defining relative clauses. Here, take a look. Mr. Simpson, whom we met yesterday, seems very nice. Again, divided by commas, the extra information. So non-defining. Now the defining clauses, take a look. A seaman is somebody who works on a ship. Now, who works on a ship is telling me essential information about the seaman, the person, right? If I eliminate this part, it makes no sense. So this is a defining thing. So guys, is this 100% clear? Is it clear, guys?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, one more thing before we finish. Contact clauses. Contact clauses are defining clauses. But what is the difference between them? I already told you the difference. The difference is that contact clauses are just those that in which we omit the relative pronoun. This is the normal one, right? The town that we live in is more than 600,000 years old. 600 years old. If I eliminate that, the town we live in is more than 600 years old. It's the same, right? What am I using? In this time, I'm just omitting the relative pronoun, as I had already explained to you before. So a contact clause is a defining clause without the relative pronoun. That's it. You can omit it, and it's more natural, guys. Take a look. This is the bike I bought yesterday. What is missing here? That or which, right? That or which. This is the bike which I bought yesterday, or this is the bike that I bought yesterday. But if you want to be more natural, this is the bike I bought yesterday. It sounds better. It sounds more beautiful. Here, the man you saw at the party was Giorgio Armani. What is missing?
Who?
Where?
Who?
The man who you saw at the party.